नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स sadhu sadhu sadhu. Homage to the blessed one, the fully enlightened one. And today, what we are going to do is we are going to take two suttas, Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 10, 103 and 104. So I missed mentioning 104. I just mentioned 103. But these suttas have a very good information for us. I have kind of talked about these themes in the suttas, which I like. One is that one thing when we are developing, the other thing gets developed. So if one has the right view, then the right intention gets developed. Or if one has the harmonious perspective, then the harmonious imaging gets developed automatically. And the other thing is that there is a cause and effect for every action. So when you do good, you have good results, and when you do bad, then you have bad results. So we will just start the reading of this sutta, which is kind of straightforward. The information is given, what is given by the Buddha is easily understandable. I may kind of give a translation of the Eightfold Path as per Bante, which Bante was giving. So in between, I may kind of give that information additionally. Students, and once again, what I'll do is I'll also share the document with you. If I can directly drag and paste over here the document. Okay, I can. So you can follow along with me. This has been taken from sutta.com. I think this is Bhikkhu Bodhi translation. Students, in dependence on the wrong course, there is failure, not success. And how is it that in dependence of the wrong course, there is failure, not success? One, for one of wrong view, wrong intention originates. For one of wrong intention, wrong speech originates. For one of wrong speech, wrong action originates. For one of wrong action, wrong livelihood originates. For one of wrong livelihood, wrong effort originates. For one of wrong effort, wrong mindfulness originates. For one of wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration originates. For one of wrong concentration, wrong knowledge originates. So this is the wrong knowledge is the knowledge which will take you towards the dukkha, but not towards the understanding. It may give you temporary pleasures also, this knowledge, but it will not take you to the furthest of the understanding. And when you have the wrong knowledge, then there will be wrong liberation. So wrong liberation has been explained in one or two ways. One way wrong liberation is that of the concentration. When your mind is put on a lot of pressure, it becomes very calm. And this calmness which is there is a wrong calmness because it has been come about through the concentration. When this calmness is there, one may feel that he is liberated. There is one sutta where there is one old ascetic who thinks that he is an arahant because there are no unwholesome thoughts popping up in his mind. So then some of his relative Deva comes and says that, no, you are not awakened because there are certain things which are you have not given up. So you still have to get some teaching from the Buddha. Then hearing him, he goes to the Buddha, gains the teaching, and then becomes an Arahant. So that means that the liberation which he had originally assumed was a long liberation. And while he got the right information from the Buddha, then he attained the final knowledge. So for one of wrong knowledge, wrong liberation originates. In this way, in dependence on the wrong course, there is failure, not success. So when you have the wrong course which you are taking, then you have the failure. And how do the precepts come into this calculation of the eightfold path. That is what my interest is to explain in this sutta. So one of the things, the things we are not recognizing most of the time is that the precepts are there in most of the steps in the eightfold path. So one of the things which are there is the wrong view or the wrong perception. So when you have the this is the harmonious perception is not there, then what happens is that the harmonious imaging does not come to be. When there is no harmonious imaging, then there is no harmonious communication. Now, how is that communication or the speech is there? There are four types of speech. One is the speech which is false. The other speech is the speech when you are dividing people. So you go to one group and say one thing and go to other group and say other thing and make the group fight. That is a wrong speech. Then there is a speech which is of harsh speech, which is hurtful to the other person. When you say the speech, the other person is heard and you are making the speech with the intention to hurt the other person. Then the speech which is of a frivolous nature or the gossiping, which is of useless nature, a person does speech. So that gossiping and all those kind of speech is something which is to be avoided. So this is something you have to understand regarding the speech. Now the wrong action. Now actions can be seen as stealing. So that is a wrong action. When you are seeing that there is a thing which is there, it is not belong to you, and nobody has given this to you, or nobody has offered this to it, and it is not freely available also. Like the water in the river, nobody offers you the water in the river, but you know that it is freely available. Drinking that water would not be a problem. So that is an understood thing. So barring those circumstances, when we know that this thing belongs to another and then still we acquire that thing, that is called stealing. And that action is the wrong action. And the other action, which is a wrong action, is to kill somebody. So if you see, there is a steps for the death of a other being, that you know this is a being which is alive. You have an intention to kill it. With that intention, you make a action. And with that action, that being has the ending of the life. That is the killing of living being. So that is a wrong action. And then there is any kind of sexual misconduct one does. That is also involved in the wrong action. So other thing about the next thing is the wrong livelihood. Wrong livelihood also has this certain things the Buddha is saying you are not supposed to do. Is dealing in weapons. That means that that weapons will be used to kill people. Dealing in poison, that is also leads to the killing of people. Dealing in animals for livestock. So when you are dealing with animals for livestock, ultimately those will be slaughtered. Then dealing with intoxicants. So that will also kind of take people into the wrong action of drinking. So those things are to be avoided in the wrong livelihood. So when a person has a wrong livelihood, then what happens is then the right action or the right effort which is there is not possible. Because the mind state is not calm, the mind state is not in balance. When the mind state is not in balance, then the right concentration or the right mindfulness is not possible. Then the right concentration is not possible. So the Bante used to say is harmonious practice. When the harmonious practice is there, the harmonious observation is there. When the harmonious observation is there, harmonious collectedness is there. So when you do not have the right action, then you will not have the right practice also. And when you do not have the right practice, then you don't have the right knowledge. When you don't have the right knowledge, then you don't have the right liberation. So in dependence on the right course, there is success, not failure. And how is that independence of right course, there is success, not failure? For one of right view, right intention originates. For one of right intention, right speech originates. For one of right speech, right action originates. For one of right action, right livelihood originates. For one of right livelihood, right effort originates. For one of right effort, right mindfulness originates. For one of right mindfulness, right concentration or collectedness originates. For one of right collectedness, right knowledge originates. For one of right knowledge, right liberation originates. In this way, in dependence on the right course, there is success and not failure. So once we are on the right path, say a harmonious perspective is there, then harmonious imaging comes into being. That is, you have a good perspective, a harmonious perspective, then the imaging, what the image you put of the world, of a smiling, of metta, for karuna, mudita, upekha, that image of the world which you have, that is there established in your mind. When the harmonious imaging is there, then harmonious communication is there. How you communicate with yourself and the others is in harmony. When the harmonious communication is there, then the wrong speech is not possible. Breaking of those precepts for speech is not possible. When harmonious communication is there, harmonious movement of the mind is there. When the movement of the mind is there, you are able to understand how the mind's attention is going from one thing to another, and you are able to take away your attention from the unwholesome by 6Ring it. You recognize, you release, relax, re-smile, return back, and remain on the wholesome. And then if you are going on the unwholesome again, you can again 6R come. Then what happens is the wrong actions is not possible. If you have a thought of stealing, then you recognize this is unwholesome. Then you 6R it. You have a thought of killing, then you 6R that. In that way, harmonious movement of the mind is necessary. When there is a harmonious movement of the mind, then what happens is harmonious lifestyle is there. Then your lifestyle will be in line with the precepts, and you will not be deviating. Your work which you do will also be in line with the precepts. Your actions which you do will be in line with your precepts. Your lifestyle which is there will be in harmony. So that when you are in harmony and you have the harmonious perspective and harmonious imaging, what would happen is your harmonious practice is automatically activated. So when the harmonious practice is there, then the observation, the mindfulness which is there, harmonious observation is there. When the harmonious observation is there, your mind becomes collected. So your mind becomes in samadhi automatically, because your conditions are right. When your mind is in samadhi, you are able to see what is arising, what is passing away, the impermanence of those things, how the dukkha is created. When there is a resistance to what is there, that is the time the dukkha is there. The Bhante used to say that, say there is a pain is there. And this is the resistance which you are of the pain. So when the pain is there, the pain is inevitable. We cannot change the pain. But the dukkha which is there, the resistance, that is what we can let go. And that is what the Buddha is talking about. That when we know that what is dukkha, then we also know what is impersonality. Because when we know that there is certain thing arising, has it arisen because of me? Where was the thought before the thought came into my awareness? So there is a Zen practice also where they ask you to see that where were you? What was your name before you were born? So it is a way of putting your attention to the factor that when this arises, a thought arises in your awareness, where was the thought before it was in your awareness? By knowing that thought and how it arose, you know the impersonality of it. When it is impersonal, then you do not have attachment to it as much as you would have when it is your personal thing. So then I have mentioned many times the experiment about the mug and the chocolate. Just because the chocolate was there with the exam takers for 5 minutes, they took ownership of the chocolate. Just because the mug was there for 5 minutes with them, they took the ownership of the mug. So it does not matter if it is a mug or the chocolate. It is taking ownership is a natural thing which comes. When certain thing arises in our mind, in our thoughts, we take ownership of it. That is the reason we are not able to let go. We are not able to 6R it. and then we suffer the consequences of that thought. And that thought is based on the habitual tendencies which we have. Whatever we have done in the past, if this arises, we do that. And then it arises, and then we do the habitual action. Bhante used to say that once he had a thought about getting a cheesecake. And then he went down, took his car, went to the shop where it was some kilometers away. And when he reached there, he found the shop was closed. And then he came back empty-handed. And the Bhante said that the whole process happened, that dukkha and the effort which happened was just because one thought which arose in his mind that I want cheesecake. So that is what one has to understand, that these thoughts which are coming up in the mind are taking us around all the places, and thus you know the knowledge. So when you have the samadhi, when you have the collectedness of mind, you are able to see the impermanence, you are able to see the dukkha, you are able to see the impersonality. When you have the right kind of knowledge, then there is liberation, then there is a giving up. And that is in stages. At first stage, you are a Sotapanna. Then the second stage, you are a Saktakami. Then you go to the third stage, which is Anagami. And then the fourth stage is of Arahant. So in stages, you give up and go away from the ignorance and go towards the knowledge. So the factor over here is against ignorance. When you don't know, you can get trapped in certain things. So we go to the next explanation. That is in Anguttara Nikaya 10.104. So it is also, the name is also very kind of interesting, which is a seed. So this is also very straightforward, and the information which is given is something which, yes. Yes,
Bhante, sorry to interrupt you, but I in the beginning when you first started explaining 103, you maybe I heard wrongly, but you said wrong liberation can be explained in two ways. I think I heard that. So one way is the wrong concentration, which suppresses the negative habitual tendencies. What is the second way?
Second way is the understanding which you have. When you are doing something wrong, then you think that, oh, I have done something right. Something like some people get a pleasure from doing some wrong things. Like some people get pleasure from stealing. Some people get pleasure from some kind of wrong acts. So those acts when they do, but they think, oh, this is the right act. And that is the wrong understanding is developed. So that is also one way of saying that. He thinks that, oh, I have done the good thing, like sacrifices they do in many temples. In India, I think there are still temples where sacrifices are done. So that is the wrong liberation. When you do wrong and you have pleasure, and you think, oh, I am getting pleasure, that's the reason it's a right action. That's a second way of explaining. I have a question too. What was the step that leads to right mindfulness? Right mindfulness is the harmonious practice, or the right efforts leads to right mindfulness. And when the mindfulness is there, then it leads to right concentration or collectedness. So Bhante uses right effort as harmonious practice. And when the harmonious practice is there, then the harmonious observation. Mindfulness, he says, is the observation of how the mind's attention is going from one thing to another. When we are in meditation, what we are doing is we are observing the attention. We put our attention on the object of meditation. When our attention moves away, we recognize, release, relax, re-smile, and return back, and remain on this object of meditation. That is the observation or mindfulness. And then that leads to the mind becoming collected. Collected means your faculties are at one point and able to observe what is happening. And when you are able to observe what is happening, then it reveals the impermanence, the dukkha, and it reveals the impersonality. And when you are knowing all those realities, then your attachment to what has arisen is becoming weak. When the attachment is becoming weak, then you are able to let go. Before that you are taking everything personally. Okay, is that okay? Okay. So we'll go to the next this thing. Students, in dependence on the wrong course, there is failure, not success. And how is it that in dependence of the wrong course, there is failure, not success? For one of wrong view, wrong intention originates. For one of wrong intention, wrong speech originates. For one of wrong speech, wrong action originates. For one of wrong action, wrong livelihood originates. For one of wrong livelihood, wrong effort originates. For one of wrong effort, wrong mindfulness originates. For one of wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration originates. For one of wrong concentration, wrong knowledge originates. For one of wrong knowledge, wrong liberation originates. In this way, in dependence on the wrong course, there is failure, not success. In dependence on the right course. Sorry, I have gone through this. Students, for a person of wrong view. So we have done this. No? Huh? So whatever bodily karma, verbal karma, and mental karma he instigates and undertakes in accordance to that view, that is the wrong view. So what, according to the wrong view, whatever he thinks, whatever he speaks, or whatever he does in physical body, and whatever his volition, yearning, inclination, and volitional activities all lead to what is unwished for. So when you are doing actions which are unwholesome, then what that unwholesome actions, because your unwholesome thoughts leads to unwholesome speech, which leads to unwholesome actions. So all of them which are there are breaking of precepts. So when that is there, then what would happen is that whatever volition is there, whatever yearning is there, whatever inclination is there, whatever volitional activity, all lead to what is unwished for, undesired, and disagreeable, to harm and suffering. For what reason? Because the view is bad. So what happens is that when your thought, speech, and actions are going towards the breaking of precepts, doing the unwholesome, then what would happen is whatever you are doing, whatever your volitional activity, what volitional activities are, you are taking the call on it. When you fail to take a call on it, you are taking a call to not do it. So that is also your responsibility. You have habitual tendencies, and people do things by habitual tendencies, but you have this awareness faculty also, where you can do a action on volition. So when you are failing to exercise your volition, you are exercising your volition to do that. That means that you take ownership of whatever action you are taken. That is the reason whatever results which are there, that will be unwished for, undesired, and disagreeable, to harm and suffering. So what your action you are taking, you will be the owner. So then the Buddha is, when he's explaining the karma also, then he is saying that whatever karma you do, whatever action you do, you are the owner of that action. You are the inheritor of that action. And whatever results come, you will have to bear the results. It may be in the current life immediately. It may be in a short period of time in this life. It may be in long period. That means that it may be in the next life or the coming any of the lives. You may have to face the consequences of your action which you have taken in the present. So whatever action you take in the present will result in your future. That is what the Buddha is saying, that if there is a wrong action which is taken, there is a breaking of precepts which are being done, then what would happen is whatever action which you take will lead to ultimately pain. In the short term, while when a thief acquires wealth, he is very happy. Then what he does is he goes and spends, and he's happy with this there. But then after that, the police may be catching him and putting him in the jail. So ultimately, he had suffering and pain. Bante Wimbalramsi had a student who had come to him, and he looked like a little rough, tough person, and seemed to have tattoos all over his body. So just while talking, Bante asked him, what did he do? So he kind of confessed to Bante that he was a robber, and he used to kind of steal, and he was a safe cracker, and he was expert in cracking safes. And he said that once he had cracked a safe and he had got some $200,000 or something like that. And Bante said, then why did you continue doing that? And that person said that you don't know how fast $200,000 can be spent. So that money did not last him. And later on, he was caught for that same crime and he spent an amount of time in jail. So maybe he had that acquired that, he enjoyed it for a short while, but then he had to face again the consequences. So the Buddha is giving this very clear warning that whatever you are doing will result in your painful. So how he explains it is through an example of a seed. What's it? Suppose students, a seed of neem, bitter cucumber, or bitter gourd were planted in moist soil. Whatever nutrients it would take up from the soil and from the water would all lead to its bitter, pungent, and disagreeable flavor. For what reason? Because the seed is bad. So too, for a person of wrong view, wrong intention, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, and wrong collectedness, wrong knowledge and wrong liberation, whatever bodily karma, verbal karma, mental karma he instigates and undertakes in accordance with that view, and whatever his volition, yearning, inclination, and volition activities all lead to what is unwished for, undesired, disagreeable, to harm and suffering. For what reason? Because the view is bad. So the Buddha is saying that if you take a seed which inherently has fruits which will be bitter, like Karela, which we say are very famous in India for the bitterness, and it is also famous in Sri Lanka. You will always have certain dishes of the bitter gourd over here in Sri Lanka. So it has medicinal properties also, and other places also Buddha has mentioned it. So when you take that seed and plant it in a moist soil, what can you expect from it is the same bitter fruits. So in that same way, your actions when are wrong, then the results which you are receiving will also be wrong. Suppose students, a seed of sugar cane, hill rice, or grape were planted in moist soil. Whatever nutrients it would take up from the soil and from that water would all lead to its agreeable, sweet, and delectable flavor. For what reason? Because the seed is good. So too, for a person of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right knowledge, and right liberation, whatever bodily karma, verbal karma, and mental karma he instigates, he undertakes in accordance with that view. And whatever his volition, yearning, inclination, volition activities, all lead to what is wished for, desirable, agreeable, and well-being and happiness. For what reason? Because the view is good. So with good view, you have good actions, and with good actions, you have good results. So the Buddha is saying that when you are doing something which is sending harm in the universe, then you reap harm. But as you put a seed and you reap a lot of fruits, in the same way, when you put a seed of bitter gourd, you will be receiving a lot of things, fruit of bitter gourd. That is bitterness. You will have to multiply and expect that. And but in the same way, when you put a seed of a grape, and then you will get a bountiful of grapes. So when you are doing good actions, then you are getting a lot of return. And that has been discussed by us in the last time when we had this talk. The Buddha is also explaining 142, I think so. The Majjhima Nikaya 142, where the Buddha is saying that how much return you can get from doing good. So in the same way, we have to be careful of what our actions are there. Precepts are designed in a way that it can prepare your mind for observation or prepare your mind for the collectedness of mind. So that is the reason Shila, Samadhi, and Panya. Shila is the actions which you are doing. These are the precepts which leads to Samadhi, which is the harmonious practice, harmonious observation, harmonious collectedness, which leads to Panya. That is the harmonious perspective, harmonious imaging. So when you are having your precepts in control, your actions are in control, then what would happen is your mental development will automatically come into being. When your mind is developing, then this knowledge which is there, a panya is there, is developed. When there is a panya and the right knowledge is there, then it leads to the liberation. So the path is mentioned in a way is where the panya is mentioned before the shila, because amount of wisdom is required. A seed is required for the plant to grow. So that is the reason amount of wisdom is required for the person to do the effort at least of the right actions. So that is the reason in the eightfold path, you will have the panya, which is there. The harmonious perspective and harmonious imaging are coming before that. And then the harmonious actions or the shila is coming. And then in the end, the samadhi is coming. But in practice, when anybody of our teachers or in the Theravada, when he is explaining, he will explain as Shila Samadhi Panya. Because the right action has to be there. So your mind is in balance to kind of do the right practice and right observation and right collectedness. And that will lead to your wisdom. And that wisdom will lead to your liberation. In this way, the whole path has been explained by the Buddha in ways of the cause and effect. So is there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Bhante, maybe I misunderstood. So, okay, so what you described just now is the harmonious perception and harmonious imaging is the panya part. And without that, huh?
Yes,
did
yes.
I understand correctly? Okay. And without that, then one would not have the knowledge of the sila, which is upholding the precepts. That makes sense. So my question is then, does that lead to like a chicken and egg situation? Because how would one derive that knowledge without going through the course of upholding the precepts leading to the samadhi? I'm not sure if my question made sense.
that is there. So when the volition is used in a wholesome manner, then that volition can come about in the results of having wisdom to do the right action. So like the one other way the Buddha is talking about the whole path is dana, sila, bhavana. So say a person does dana, and then the results of that dana can be his understanding of panya, which will kind of give him the action or the impetus for shila, which will lead to the samadhi or bhavana.
Okay.
That is the
So okay. So then the tricky part is, what if one person does not have any seed of generosity in the first place? Is that like
so that is
dead
the
end?
Buddha is when the Buddha is giving talks, when the suttas it is mentioned, he mentions generosity the most. When he's talking to lay person, he's talking about generosity the most, because that is something like a person who cannot do meditation can at least keep his precepts. But if a person is not even able to keep precepts, he can at least do a little bit dana. And it does not take a lot, when you consider that your kind of expenses in India, at least everybody will buy cigarettes or they have this tobacco mixture is there, pan parag or something like that. The brand name is there. So they will buy those things. Those things are costing 10 rupees, 15 rupees. And a packet of biscuits cost 5 rupees. So a person who has nothing can also take a 5 rupees biscuit and give it to a homeless person. So the avenue is already there, but the mental blockage is in such a way that a person who is there has a flat, has a car, and has a good income will also feel that he is poor because he is looking at the other person who has a bigger car, has a bigger house and a bigger income. And he says, I have to reach there, then maybe I will be generous. So that is what the Buddha is saying, that generosity can be at any level. And the first level of generosity is, Bhante is saying, that is a smile. That is the generosity which anybody can give. Like one of the Reader's Digest I used to read a lot when we were kind of young. And there was a story about a person who leaves the house to kind of commit suicide. And he's going towards the bridge. And then there is a kindly old man coming from the other direction. He smiles. Happy. He is a stranger, but he smiles at him. And then as a kind of a response, he just smiles at that person. And when he's walking and when he's smiling and he just realizes, what am I going to do? I'm going to kill myself. There is something maybe I can put in effort. There is certain other things I can do. Just by his that other person smiling, his mind state changed, and some other thoughts came into his mind, and then he returned back to home, and then continued with his life. So thus a smile can be a generosity. Second, the Buddha is saying that the wholesome states of mind which we share, that is the metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, the Brahma viharas are there. That is the something which a person can be generous with. That requires no kind of money. Third, generosity is through actions, by helping somebody, help somebody cross the road, or help somebody kind of build a house, or the roof is kind of there. I see a series of YouTube is there, a video of a person who goes to a lawn which is not cut. He has this equipment and everything, and he says, I'll cut the lawn for free. And then he cuts the lawn for free. And then he has this video which is uploading, and he's getting millions of views. And he says, I earn in millions through these videos. He just goes to a house, he sees it is in a very bad shape. One person says, how much will you charge? My neighbors are also harassing me, but I don't have much money. He said, no, I'll do it for free. And he does that whole thing. And he has also a showcase for his work. So he has a showcase of his work, and then his company gets a lot of orders. He's seen as a person who is generous, as a good person. So without any kind of money, just by putting his efforts, you can be generous. So there are many of those things. But you have to be careful about how to be kind of doing these things, and how you kind of approach others. Like there is one skit about there are some Boy Scouts who are kind of taking a lady across the road, and then lady is very angry. Then there's a passerby who comes in. Why are you angry? These Boy Scouts help you cross the road. The lady said, I did not want to cross the road. They wanted to do it for their points, whatever, to help the lady. So you have to be careful when you are helping others also. So panya, or the wisdom, is there, useful over there in that situations. Yes, you.
Thank you, Bhante. That's a lovely explanation. Another aspect that occurs to me also is that the Buddha says that what brings people to this practice is an awareness of dukkha. People kind of fall into two groups with dukkha. They either go to distraction and pleasure to overcome dukkha, or they have curiosity and investigation. And so that's the inception of panya. That's the little bit of wisdom to inquire in that way, which then perhaps starts the ball rolling, and then the sila comes, and then from that point of view, but panya is necessary to, if you like, to have that perspective that there's another way that can be approached to deal with this experience that we're having.
Yeah, that is a very good point Hugh has said, that the dukkha can also be an impetus for action. And that action which is there can also be of suppression also. It can be distraction and it can be suppression also. Certain times when we are going into suppression, what happens is we are numbing ourselves. Stoicism can also go to suppression. Stoics, I've been reading a little bit, can have very good advice for daily life and have very kind of balanced advice. But there are certain points where it can go into suppression and kind of self-mortification. There is a Stoic who used to live in a kind of barrel and have a cup of for water. Somebody kind of criticized him. Why do you need a cup? You can have hands. So he threw away the cup also. And he used to drink this water from the hand. So that can also, it has to be in balance. So that is the reason a Buddha is required. They have the main of equanimity, Stoicism, but it does not have the balance of wisdom. So you can you just give a little bit more about your understanding of the eightfold path or what we have just discussed?
Sorry, Bhante, it was a little noisy here. Could you say that again?
I thought you should give your perspective on this suttas which we read about the eightfold path.
Well, the main perspective I have is the way that the Buddha describes that if we set up the conditions correctly, then the meditation unfolds. And sometimes we can be in this position where we're simply trying to make the meditation happen, rather than, if you like, concentrating on setting up the conditions. And so we can get a degree of frustration, if you like, around our practice. Whereas the patience we need is to, as it were, just tend the garden and wait for the plants to grow. Yeah, and the way we can get caught up in aspects of the practice, have I experienced this? Have I experienced that? It's kind of like pulling up the seed to see if it's growing yet, and then putting it back in the soil. And I think we need to have, the beauty about the Eightfold Path is it's really saying, care about the conditions, and then let the process happen.
Very beautifully put. That is one thing which we are kind of in India. There is one saint which is there. He is saying that "Dhire dhire re mana, dhire sab kuch ho. Mali siche so gada, rutu aaye phalo." He's saying that everything happens slowly, and he's saying that mana means himself, that be patient, the mind, because when you may put 100 kind of this buckets of water, but the fruit will come only when the season is right. So this patience which you're talking about is something which is very important, that we have to be patient, and then we have to realize that if this is not working, what precedes this? The practice is not working. What is before the practice? Maybe your actions are there where you can control your precepts. Then you have to look at that precepts, and then if the precepts you are not able to reconcile, then you have to see what is my view on this precepts, and then you correct your view, correct your intentions, and then correct your actions, and then maybe your practice which is there will automatically have a difference. So that is a very kind of a wholesome perspective, which is incorporating the whole of the practice. So that is a very good way of looking at this practice as a complete thing, not like a piecemeal that you will just do the samadhi and not worry about the mindfulness or the harmonious practice or anything else. And I'll just go into samadhi, and then I'll do it. And this is what the Bhante did not like of the vipassana practice or the samatha practice. The Buddha said that it is samatha vipassana. like the two balance of the bullock carts. So both the bullocks have to be in harmony, and then it can go into straight. That's a very good way of explaining it. And is there any questions currently? You may ask questions about other things or about meditation also. You want to give any last words? No, I think nobody has.
I don't have any more to add. I thought just to say thank you, Bhante, for that explanation, and it was I think the Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya is very helpful.
Okay, then we'll share the merits now. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. So, thank you everybody for coming. And next week, there will be a reading of the 6 sets of 6. I'll try and come. May is going to kind of read it. So it will be a kind of a new experience. So it will be just the reading of the sutta. So we can do maybe a little bit Q&A before it. You, if you want to come and join, then you can also join us. And this will be a kind of a new experience. So I would encourage for everybody to join us and experience this new kind of the reading of the six sets of 6 on the Zoom meeting. Okay. And thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Okay. Bye.